The number one fear for teens today is death. Teens are afraid of dying even though they have their entire lives ahead to look forward to. They are afraid of death. The single most important event in all human history is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We learn we can have hope and we do not have to fear death any longer. Today we're going to talk about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. In our last video, we talked about the 7 things that Jesus Christ said on the cross. So check out that video if you have not seen it already. Jesus Christ gave up his spirit and died. He died a lot sooner than the people thought that he would die. So religious leaders go to Pilate and ask if the bodies can be off the cross sooner. They ask if they can break the legs of the people on the cross because it's going to be Sabbath day, a very special high Sabbath soon, and they don't want bodies on the cross. So soldiers break the legs of the 2 men on either side of Jesus and they die. When they get to Jesus, they notice that Jesus is already dead. So instead of breaking Jesus's legs, they pierce his side with a spear and out flows water and blood. Medically, that is a sign that Jesus is truly dead. This also fulfills the prophecy that not one of Jesus's bones would be broken and that Jesus would be pierced. A man called Joseph of Arimathea is a very rich man. He is a very good and just man. He is on the prominent council who did not consent to the deed that Jesus would be killed. He gathers up his courage and he goes to Pilate and asks for the body of Jesus so he can put it in his tomb. So Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus prepare the body of Jesus and put it in Joseph of Arimathea's tomb. Women followers of Jesus watch the men hurriedly wrap up the body of Jesus before Sabbath and plan to come back after Sabbath with their own spices, ointments, and oils to prepare Jesus' body properly. Religious leaders remembered the words of Jesus and they go to Pilate and they say, "Remember how that deceiver said, 'After 3 days I will rise again.' We need a guard to guard the tomb lest his disciples come and steal the body away to make it look like Jesus had really risen." So Pilate says, "You have your guard, go your way, make the tomb as secure as you know how." So they have a guard by the tomb and the tomb is sealed. Now, an angel descends from heaven on Sunday morning and there is an earthquake and the countenance of the angel is like lightning and his clothes are white as snow and he rolls the stone away. Women very early in the morning are coming to the tomb and they are wondering amongst themselves, who is going to move the stone for us, for it is very large. But at that time, previously, the angel had rolled the stone away and guards shook for fear of the angel and became like dead men. So the tombstone was already rolled away when the women got there. So the women go inside and they see 2 angels and the angels say to them, "Don't be afraid. Why are you seeking the living among the dead? Jesus is not here, for he is risen. Go and tell his followers." And so the women leave and go and tell the followers of Jesus. Meanwhile, Mary Magdalene did not enter the tomb, but she ran to go tell Peter and John that they have taken away the Lord. And so Peter and John run as fast as they can to get to the tomb, and they see the tomb is empty. And John outruns Peter, and he gets there first, but he's too afraid to come in. But when Peter comes in, he boldly goes into the tomb, and John follows, and they see the handkerchiefs lying there. Jesus is not in the tomb, and the handkerchief around his face lying in a separate pile, neatly folded, and John saw and he believed. Mary Magdalene is following, but she is not running to the tomb. Instead, she is weeping. So she gets to the tomb and she stoops down and she looks inside the tomb and she sees an angel. And the angel says to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" And she says, "They have taken away my Lord and I do not know where they have laid him." She turns around and she sees Jesus, but she doesn't know that it's Jesus. And Jesus looks at her and he says to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Who are you looking for?" And she says, "Sir," she assumes he's the gardener, "Sir, if you know where they've put him, show me so I may take him." And Jesus looks at her, calls her by name, and says, "Mary." Immediately, she knows that it's Jesus. She runs to him and she says, "Rabboni," which means great teacher. And Jesus says, "Go and tell my followers, you and I do not have to be afraid of death. we have no fear of death because Jesus destroyed the one who had the power over death, that is the devil, and released us. Those of us that have lived our whole lives in bondage, we are released because Jesus Christ rose from the dead. That is the resurrection of Jesus Christ from all four Gospels.